All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Jay Youngblood Experience. And this episode marks the end. It marks the end. The end of college football. It's very sad to have to wait until August, September for more college football. We do have NFL still, luckily, until February. Only 2 more games of that, but today marks the end. Or this past weekend marks the end of college football. I can say this college football year has been better than previous years. The competition, the close games, the rivalries, the inability to understand how good teams actually are, marks the end of the season. This will be my last podcast about college football until the next upcoming season, which is unfortunate, but this year was good. This year was fun. This year had a lot of things that were missing in previous years. You didn't have a dominant team that won every game. You didn't have a dominant team that went through and easily won. You had teams that were competitive, that were playing well, and you had a lot of dark horses come through. That being said, Notre Dame, in my opinion, was a dark horse. In my opinion, they came through and they won a lot of games that I did not expect them to win. They lost a game in which Northern Illinois at home, where after that game, you did not expect them to come out and even make the playoff, let alone go to the national championship. And I talk shit about Notre Dame all season long from that point forward. But they showed me that they were a force to be reckoned with. That their not the quarterback, that their head coach is not like Brian Kelly, which unfortunately is now at LSU. They showed me that they were able to compete and win against the bigger dominant teams in college football, and that includes Georgia, that includes Ohio State, and they did what they needed to do. But I still believe they need to get into a conference for people to respect them more. You don't. I mean, they don't have to play in a conference championship, which is a huge thing to me. They don't, have a conference schedule that they play against teams within their conference, which would make their schedule quite a bit more competitive, in my opinion. But they still proved a lot with what they were able to do this year. So I have a little bit more respect for them. I think they beat 5+ teams that were ranked this year in the top 25. It could be higher than 5. I don't remember the exact number. So shout out to them. I also want to shout out to my brother who turned 21 years old today. Shout out to my boy. Shout out to my dog. He was able to turn 21 years. Blessed. Happy birthday to my boy Luke Youngblood. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. I hope this year brings many blessings, many happiness, many a compliment. I can't speak. Accomplishments for you, brother. But national championship game. Now I did pick Ohio State to win, and they did in fact win. Notre Dame just didn't have enough for them. Whether it's Jeremiah Smith, whether it's Will Howard, whether it's the fact that they weren't able to run the ball efficiently. Only 55 total rush yards for Notre Dame. Only compared to Ohio State's 214 total yards. I mean, Ohio State put up 450 yards total offense. This was not a game that I thought Notre Dame was going to win, nor did they win. Ohio State showed, especially on the back end of the year after that Michigan loss, they were on a warpath. Chip Kelly and Ryan Day came through and did what they needed to do. There was a lot of speculation whenever they lost to Oregon, whenever they lost to Michigan, that maybe they weren't ready to win a national championship. Maybe they weren't ready to be that team just yet. A lot of people were calling for Ryan Day's job after that Michigan game. They were saying if he doesn't make a long run or even win, or some people were even saying if they don't win the national championship, that Ryan Day should lose his job. I guess I can't disagree. I mean, you had so many opportunities, and then this man came through. Him and Chip Kelly put up a great playoff run and were able to show things that a lot of people did not think was going to happen. These were two teams who I did not think were going to win the national championship. I did not think that at the beginning of the playoff or even at the beginning of the season. I thought Georgia was going to gun for it, maybe even Alabama. Oregon looked so strong throughout the year. Only loss they have was to Ohio State in the playoff itself. But Ohio State showed that they were the best team this year, especially in the playoffs. They were so strong in the playoffs. It was insane. It's like they were on a war path. It's like they were on a war path. And the game against Notre Dame, scoreless for first quarter, Notre Dame's up 7-0. They come into the second quarter, make whatever adjustments they made, score 21 points in the second quarter, 10 points in the third quarter, and then kick the field goal in the fourth quarter to win 34-23. Notre Dame put up 7, 0, 8, and 8. So put up a total of 23 points. It just wasn't enough against this Ohio State team. They couldn't run the ball well or efficiently. 55 total rush yards by Notre Dame compared to what was it? 214 for Ohio State. Ohio State put up 330 yards passing as well. They didn't. Notre Dame didn't do bad passing. 250 some yards passing. This Ohio State looked like they were on a warpath. Ryan Day has secured his job for quite a while now with this national championship win. They won with Urban Meyer, beginning of the playoff, 2013, 2014, whatever that was. And then they come back 2024 season and win the first 12-team playoff. What was this, a decade later? A decade later and come back and win it. So shout out to Ohio State. They did what they needed to do. Notre Dame, whether you lost or not, which you did, but you proved a lot. Notre Dame did prove a lot in the playoff. Not with the Indiana win. I didn't really care much about that. But against Georgia, against Penn State, coming out how they did, going to the national championship and winning how they are going to the national championship and showing they deserve to be in the playoff at all. Like I said at the beginning, like the playoff, I did not want to see Notre Dame in the playoff, especially with them not playing within a conference bothered me. I talk shit about Notre Dame every chance, every podcast after every week. I did them in Clemson. I just couldn't stand it. But I'm not afraid to know when I'm wrong. I did call Ohio State winning, but Notre Dame, they did put up a good game, a good playoff run by them. So shout out to Notre Dame. Truly. For someone who truly this season hated Notre Dame solely because of their fans, because of the media coverage they were getting, even after that Northern Illinois loss at home. I was pretty skeptical of this team, but they showed themselves down the line that they deserve to be there. I thought the line ended, the road ended versus Indiana. Once they beat Indiana, that was going to be it for them. But beat Georgia, beat Penn State, went to the national title game, lost ultimately in Atlanta against Ohio State. But still, shout out to them, honestly. Shout out to them. I can't lie. They did more than I thought they would. Way more than I thought they would. I didn't even think they would make the playoff. But they did what they needed to do. So, yeah, I will eat my words on that one. They came and did what they needed to do with what they had, and they played a good game. Putting up 23 points, only losing by 11 to an Ohio State team that was on a warpath. Did get held to 55 yards total rushing, but ultimately, I can't say much besides the fact they lost a championship game. That's it. They lost a championship game. I didn't even think they would make it that far. So what comes next? What comes next is we have a big new season coming up with a lot of transfers, a lot of new faces. We got Bill Belichick in North Carolina now, and you got Georgia losing Mike Bobo, I believe. If that's not true, let me know. I think they lost Mike Bobo. I think he stepped down. Let me double check that real quick. I'm checking now. Is he still with Georgia? I heard on a radio show, talk show, that Bobo was stepping down as OC. Is this true or false? Okay, so after much speculation on a podcast, the sources within the program told the offensive coordinator Mike Bobo would step down from the position of Georgia Bulldogs, citing health concerns. Those rumors were quickly got cleared up. Mike Bobo has no plans to step down University of Georgia offensive coordinator. Okay. Okay. While the rumor being cleared doesn't mean that Mike Bobo could be fired from the team by head coach, it just confirms that Mike Bobo has no plans to step down from the position due to health concerns. Okay. Perfect. I had heard that at work on a talk show, and I didn't know whether that was true or not. So obviously that is not true. He won't be stepping down. So forgive me those who I did say that. But okay, so Mike Bobo won't be stepping down. Uh we'll see what happens there. Maybe he'll get fired, and Georgia fans love blaming Mike Bobo uh, for many things. Even in that loss to Notre Dame, they blame Mike Bobo. I don't really blame Mike Bobo. You have a starting quarterback. This first start is, and in this first start, he has to play against Notre Dame in one of the biggest games of the season, if not the biggest game of the season for the Georgia Bulldogs. What do you expect? I mean, Gunnar Stockton can only do so much. He doesn't have a lot of experience within, college football. And also, you're losing your veteran quarterback in Carson Beck. So having to start him over Carson Beck at that time, I do believe Carson Beck was there. Would have been quite a big difference in that game. I don't see Georgia losing that game if Carson Beck is there. The playbook would completely be different. The calls would have been completely different, and what they set up would have been completely different. Also, the confidence coming in for that team, not only by the coaches but the players themselves. Georgia fans, don't blame Mike Bobo. Don't blame Gunnar Stockton. This was a game which was the biggest for Georgia all year, and you're starting a quarterback in which who has never started a game in college football before. What do you expect? It's a big game for anyone, let alone a quarterback who hasn't started, and this quarterback happened to be starting for one of the biggest franchises. I guess you can call it a franchise now since everything's kind of transfer portal, almost NFL free agency type of thing. One of the biggest teams in all of college football, and you're having to start for them in a playoff game while never starting in a college football game before is huge. Is huge, truly. If uh, if Carson Beck is in that game, it's quite different. And I think Georgia takes the win. Um, I think Georgia takes a win if Carson Beck is there. I truly do believe that. I don't think Carson Beck loses that game against Notre Dame. And then you also freshen up the run game, may be a little bit better because Carson's passing attack is going to be a lot better. He's a veteran. He knows what he's looking at. Going to be a lot better compared to than Gunnar Stockton. It really, truly is. It's going to be a lot better than what you'll see from Gunnar Stockton. So he's been in a lot more games, thrown a lot more passes, seen more defenses, played in bigger games. He's played in Tuscaloosa. He's played at Texas. He's played in Jacksonville against the Florida Gators. He's played in a lot bigger games. And to throw Gunnar Stockton in there, expect him to win this game is crazy. But a lot of you Georgia fans did say Gunnar Stockton was going to beat Notre Dame. And I had my speculation on that. I still thought Georgia was going to win. Ultimately, they didn't. The defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. A lot of other teams got big things. Florida with DJ Lagway and how he played throughout the season was amazing. He's already a Heisman contender. It's pretty early, but based on the speculation I've been seeing from ESPN and CBS Sports, a lot of people think he could be in the running for Heisman. You got Garrett Nussmeier coming back, but you also got Kyron Lacy leaving from LSU. Alabama, there's going to be a lot of speculation, especially with Jalen Milroe going to the league now. What is Alabama going to be? Is their coach going to be able to keep up and replace and replenish that offense? You still have Ryan Williams, but who's going to throw him the ball? You have a lot of things going up. You have South Carolina, who played really good football throughout the season, had very many close games where they could have won. Even at the end, they could have made it to the college football playoff, depending on the actual playoff committee. You had a lot of different things going on in the SEC. A lot of people saying the SEC is down, and that argument could be made. I mean, the transfer portal has made things, NIL has made things to where people are going to go where the money is, not technically where the talent is. Because these kids are coming out of high school. They're coming out of high school, and you're going to pay me how much? You're going to pay me a couple million to come play quarterback for you? Oregon's got the money. Nebraska's got the money. USC's got the money. Miami's got the money. Clemson has the money. Texas has the money. Oklahoma has the money. There's a lot of places, a lot of options, more options now for money standards. It's not under the table anymore. These cats are going to be going places where, if the money's right, they're going to go. So college football in the past 3-4 years has changed almost like an entire 180 compared to what we've been used to in past years. College football is going to be basically is now like the NFL. You're gonna be looking at these kids and okay, they're gonna go maybe JUCO for a couple years and then play ball out there and then go to the highest paying bidder. Maybe they'll go to a school where, they're not getting much, but they know they can ball out. And then once they ball out, their senior, maybe even junior year, they can go somewhere where they know what the stats was wherever they played prior, and they can transfer out to somewhere where, like Carson Beck is, pay them a couple mil, pay them 4 mil to come play 1 year, get their draft stock super, super up because they're going to be playing at a D1 school and get drafted high. Get drafted high. In Carson Beck's situation, he didn't play the best of football this past year, still put up great passing numbers and TD numbers. Interceptions, obviously, as a fan, if you watched him do that as a NFL analyst, you watched him do that, and his draft stock went down. But now he goes to Miami. He's going to be healthy by the time that season comes, completely rehabbed. Go out there and play in the ACC. It's not as hard as the SEC. It's really not. The defense isn't the same. And play against these teams that are not as good and ball out, get his draft stock up, and then go somewhere where he's making a couple mil a year. Now it's just a business, bro. It's not anything different. It's not anything different from the NFL. It's just a business. People are gonna go where the money is, and they're gonna make their moves very strategically, and they're gonna go out and play where they can play ball. They're gonna go to another school and get more eyes on them for the NFL. It's not this thing where you're not getting paid. Well, and if you are getting paid, it's all under the table, and you have to go somewhere big to make a lot of money, in the NFL. But now you can just go wherever, play there for a couple years, junior, senior year, transfer out and make a ton of fucking money at these colleges, and then go to the NFL, high draft stock, even more money, and do what you want in NFL. Now, will Carson Beck or Jalen Milroe or Quinn Ewers do big things in NFL? I'm not sure yet. We'll see. But they strategically did it very well to where they were making a ton of money. I saw one headline where Quinn Ewers was offered up to $9 million to stay in college and go to another team via transfer. Obviously, he didn't do that, but there's a lot of money in college football, and I think there's going to be some regulations come out very soon to keep these cats from transferring so easily. But these cats are making some money, man. Why the hell would some of these dudes go to the NFL based on their draft stock? Well, they're not making as much money if they did just stay in college. Maybe they had a season-ending injury and they need to play one more year to get their draft stock up. Now they have options. They don't have to stay with the team they're at. Maybe they have a lot of seniors leaving, a lot of team leaving, and they're not able to do the things they did before because they don't have the talent around them. They just hop on to the next team and get their draft stock up. So who only knows who will be good next year? Um, this year we expected a lot of teams to be better than they were this year and to win more games and even possibly make it to the playoffs and get into that national championship. I didn't expect Notre Dame or Ohio State to make it all the way, but they did. So we're going to see a lot more competition from these teams. We're going to see these teams do better. Who would have thunk that Indiana would have made it to the playoff, or Arizona State make it to the playoff? Make it to the playoff and be a top seed in the playoff, get a bye week in the playoff. Who would have thunk it? Not me, not you, nobody. Nobody, not even Arizona State fans thought that Arizona State were going to be in the playoff, let alone get a playoff spot where they get a bye in the first week. No one thought that. No one thought that at all. But this is what the 12-team playoff opens up. You win your conference, you make it in bar none, and you get that bye week. And it's so I can't argue with it. Everybody asked for it. Y'all were tired of the BCS. You were tired of the 14 playoff. Now we get into the 12-team playoff, and people are still complaining. Because you can't really make everybody happy. You can't make everybody happy with how you're going to do things. People hated the BCS for a long time. Hated the fact that it was just two teams, especially with the Power Five. Now you get in there in a Power Four or Power Five conference. You win your actually it's Power Four now, I believe. You win your conference, you automatically get to bid in, and then the playoff committee gets to choose the seeding based on who they think is better, all the way to from 1 to 12. They get to do it. So it's different. We live in a different time with college football where it's a different time. With the transfer portal, NIL, with the playoffs, everything's different. This is not the Tebow era anymore. This is not the Cam Newton era anymore. We're in a different era where we're going to figure out who has the most money in college football because they're going to get the best players on their team. And there's no cap. There's no cap space. Like NFL, you have cap space on who you can pay. These motherfuckers can pay whoever they want to come to their team and pay them however much they want. And once they come, I haven't heard of any like contracts for how long they have to stay. If that's real, tell me. I haven't heard of anything like that where you have to stay a certain amount of time to get this money through NIL. So that's something that's probably going to come up in couple months, maybe, if not this year, maybe next season. I don't know. But with the amount of money people are making, I would assume they're going to put a type of regulation where you have to stay to get the certain amount of money you want. You have to stay a certain amount of time to get this money. I'm sure that's going to show up shortly, if not already so. Like I said, I haven't heard anything about that yet. But these cats are going to be making money, and they're going to go where the money sits best with them. They're going to wherever, and they have these managers now, and they're going to, they're going to take care of these kids because they know if they make money, the managers make money. So we're looking at something very different than what we're used to in previous years. But to be fair, a lot of people are arguing that cats should not be getting paid for playing football in college, but I disagree. The NCAA is a multi-million billion dollar per year business. And these colleges are making billions and billions and billions of dollars, while the cats before, the players, weren't able to get paid. They had to do it some other way. So I mean, who's the coaches got paid? Why can't the players get paid? They're the ones getting the injuries. They're the ones putting their lives on the line on the football field, basketball field, baseball field, whatever you want to call it. And you've seen kids get hurt where it's career ending. Marshawn Lattimore, for instance, and they never made a dime, quote unquote. Never made a dime. So, I mean, it's just many kids have gotten not hurt, but in trouble in the past for making money in college football. But all these coaches, all these universities were making millions and millions of dollars, but the kids can't. That just didn't make sense. So there is now an argument of saying, "Oh, well, I don't think these kids should have get paid," but I disagree. I disagree. I disagree greatly. I think they should be getting paid. There should be some regulations on it for sure. Absolutely. You have to stay there for a certain amount of time to make the money you want. Excuse me. You have to stay there. But if the coaches can get paid millions, if the university can get paid millions. Why can't these kids who put their lives, put their bodies on the line, concussions, ACL tears, MCL tears, broken bones, torn shoulders, concussions, they're the ones taking the biggest hits. Why can't they be paid? So I love NIL. I love the fact that these players are getting paid now, but I truly think there needs to be some type of regulations. There needs to be something keeping these kids where they're at. They need to sign a contract, and once that contract is up and they can negotiate 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 4 years, whatever that is. But these kids deserve to be paid for sure. You know what I mean? Especially now that you have video games and, back in the day when you couldn't get paid for likeness, they were still selling, like Johnny Manziel, they were still selling his jerseys in the library. They were still selling his jerseys at games just without his name on it. But he can't get paid for that. You know why Johnny Manziel's jerseys were being bought. It wasn't some average Joe number. It was because it was his number. Tim Tebow's numbers, Cam Newton's numbers, Brock Bowers' numbers, Aaron Murray's number, Noshawn Marino, Herschel Walker, all these Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. They were all these numbers were being bought. All these jerseys were being bought because it was their number. So all you haters that say, they shouldn't be getting paid, think about how much money the universities were making. Think about how much money the coaches were being paid. Think about ticket sales. Think about all the jersey sales, the memorabilia sales. But they weren't making a dime. And like I said, yes, there was probably a lot under the table that we haven't seen or know about, but they deserve to be paid for sure, 100%. And it saddens me that this is the last podcast talking about college football. We will get into the semifinals with the NFL, the conference championships coming up. We will talk about those on a few podcasts, and we do have a few guests coming on. But it saddens me that this is the last podcast about college football until August, September. But we're going to get back into it. We have a few guests coming on that I have to schedule and get taken care of. I want to thank everybody for watching, being a part of this. It is sad that this is the last one for a while for college football, but we'll get back into it. And we are coming up on a year for the Jay Youngblood Experience. A lot of big things happening this year. So thank y'all for being a part of this. Thank y'all for being fans. I think I have over 1,500 fans in many different countries. So I appreciate everybody listening, being a part. Jay Moolah Young Pablo Jay Youngblood out. Holla.